Welcome back to another episode of Open Source Cafe. And today we're talking about how you can build your own startup. And before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to some amazing panelists over here who have tremendous amount of experience with the same topic. So definitely you'll get to learn a lot of things. Yeah, let's start with a little bit of introduction. Rong, would you like to tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, I'm Rong. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Showcase, where we're building a professional network for developers to connect, to build community, and to ultimately find new opportunities. We've been building this together, me and my other co-founders, Roman and Faizan, for the last 17 months now, actually, now that it's November. And yeah, that's where we're at.
Awesome. And Roman, would you like to also share about yourself?
Oh yeah, my name is Roman. I'm from Estonia. I think so. I've joined this project. I think like a little over a year ago. I think Faizan pitched it to me, and I really love the idea. And I've been a part of this great project ever since. Yeah.
Awesome. And Faizan, last but not least.
Yeah, so hey Faizan from India, from Mumbai. So I've been working as the first developer on Showcase. So it's like I found wrong on Angel List maybe. So we started from there, and yeah, I really like the
Started
idea.
from the bottom.
Yeah, started from the bottom. Now we are at the top. So
No,
yeah,
nowhere near.
but yeah, so yeah, it's been a really nice journey. We have been iterating very much based on the user requirements and all of this stuff. So it's been really going good. One interesting fact is that I've been working with Roman from quite a long time. So we have worked on multiple startups before. Yeah, that's how Roman jumped on this project.
Yeah, but we wanted to
Awesome.
probably note one thing, Kunal, is that
Hmm.
we've been working together for the last like 17 months, 18 months, and I think it's been pretty good, right? I mean, I speak for myself, but you can ask them. But we have never met each other, and I don't think Faizan, you and Roman have never met each other in person ever before, right?
There's the
Which
same with
is
me.
sick.
Where I work, like at SIBO, I have never met anyone.
Yeah.
Even the folks who work in India, I haven't met them.
It's
They're like in
been
the different city. Yeah.
it's been like
Is
3 years for me and Roman, but we haven't met each other.
Yeah, but we have a great distance between us. But is it like just not common in this IT area in India for people to meet? I thought like
Hmm.
you're very social. Why
Yeah,
haven't you met with any of your coworkers?
yeah. They live in like different cities. I haven't gotten the chance. Most of them live in like Europe and
Oh,
a little far, like not a little far, a lot far. I think
yeah.
only like 1, 2, or 3 hours from India. They're also in different parts of the country. But I joined like when COVID hit, so you get the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about it. Like, what are you doing at Showcase? What is Showcase, and how did it start? What was the, like what is the vision behind it, and what are you trying to solve?
So I'll take this one. So the initial problem that we tried to solve at Showcase was developer representation. And that's actually the main product that we even sell today, right? Which is how do we represent a developer holistically where you can really showcase who you are with your skills, your knowledge, your technologies, who you worked with, where you worked at, all the project that you've done. That is the crux of what we're doing. And I really came up with the idea, and then I pitched it to Roman and Faizan when I was kind of coming out of uh, my master's in computer science. And as I was coming out of that program, I was thinking, man, the only way to really represent myself is really this A4 piece of paper, like my resume. Like, this is terrible. And I kind of looked for alternatives, right? And GitHub is great because you can code collaborate on there. You can have your repositories, but then you don't really see much besides, repositories, right? What about your tech stack? What about who you worked with? What about the communities you're a part of, right? What about your full blogs? What about your projects? What about the podcasts you're part of? So that's one thing. And so the go-to solution that I went to initially was to just have a personal website, right? But my biggest problem with having a personal website was I would have to build it, I would have to maintain it, design it, And the worst problem of building and doing all this work, right, which would probably take most people a few iterations to get right, is that even after you have this site, if you rely on Google to find yourself on the like millions of people, there's the same name as me, and I'm going to be the first search result, right? And so I just thought there had to be a better way. And as I spoke to my friends and my other classmates, they were all having the same problem, right? We needed to represent ourselves holistically as developer, and so that's what we wanted to solve. And so that's what the initial proposal was. That's why it's called Showcase, which is to build developer representation. Now, that idea has
And
evolved, obviously, to a community-first platform where now you can connect with other developers, you can build community, you can find different types of communities, and then next you'll be able to find jobs and so on and so forth.
and when did it start? Like, I don't know, like how old it is. So when was it? Like, when did you have this idea, and how old is the product actually?
So I actually had this idea in 2019, but the first real product came out in May. I mean, I really started working on it full time June of 2020, and then Faizan joined. I think Faizan, you joined like June 2022. I think.
Yeah, I joined in June 2020.
Yeah. So that was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. And I just want to share that we'll talk more about Showcase and we talk more about learning in public and all these other things. But do join the platform. You can use the code join Kunal, and the links are in the description. So make sure you check it out and be a part of the community. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about, let's say, the features that it provides. So we have so many social media platforms already, right? Like LinkedIn is there, Twitter is there. But you mentioned that this is developer focused. So you mentioned something about, like, when I was looking into it, and I use it. Um, for content creators, you can put your content behind a paywall. You can find communities. You can, let's say, find job opportunities. So can you tell us a little bit more about this? Like, what all features are available, and what is like the best way to utilize the Showcase platform?
So, like I said earlier, I think the main product that we have right now, the best product we have right now, is about having your own developer representation, right? Now, what you can do today on Showcase is you can share all of your projects, all of your blogs, all of your content, but you can also share that next to your repositories because we integrate with GitHub. You can share it next to your tech stack. You can connect with people that you've actually worked with in the past. You can bring that all in. You can show your credentials. You can bring all of that in. You can even bring your communities in. Now, what we're going to have next, we're actually releasing it this week, is you'll be able to attach your own custom domains there, right? So we're giving every developer an out-of-the-box solution where they can have their own beautiful page on the web in 2 minutes, right? That's kind of the first step. And now you're saying, your question is, how are we different to existing platforms today, right? So I think the main punching bag, you could say, in the market today is LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is the professional network, and it's kind of the biggest in the world today. But because they are not focused on developers, right, and that's fine for them. It's fantastic for them, and they've done very well. But because they don't focus on developers, they can't cater for the nuance of our workflows, how we represent ourselves, connect with our repositories, and so on and so forth, right? Now, the main problem with LinkedIn that we saw as an opportunity was that let's build something for developers, because developers are increasingly the most important people you have in your company. And over the next 5-10 years, being a developer, learning how to code, knowing how to code is such an important skill. And as more and more developers come online, we thought there must be a better way for developers to network outside of LinkedIn, right? And that's kind of why we're building Showcase. We want to build the most optimized network for developers, right? Comes down to
Yeah.
representation. We're all about community building because developers love to be in a part of a community where you can share ideas, exchange knowledge, and then ultimately, in the next 50 years, everybody's still going to need to find jobs, which is what we're going to provide on Showcase, right? You can find
Yeah.
access to developer-focused opportunities.
Yeah. And I'd
Yeah,
like to ask you a question now.
one
Yeah,
point,
go ahead.
one point which I want to add is that one of the important features we do have on the platform, but not many are using right now, is the subscription model. So if you want to start your own blog, like you say, it's not like a newsletter, but say if you want to have your own paywall behind the content, we already provide that feature for you, and you can easily integrate Stripe with that and just start your content and start distributing it behind a paywall if you want to do that.
And this speaks to you as well, right, Kunal? Like, you are part of the developer creator economy, right? And the creator economy is something that we're really diving into going forward. And we're building even more features for developers to sell your ebooks, for developers to sell your courses, developers put your content behind a paywall to start a newsletter. So all this is going to come to Showcase. And we're very focused on, like, we know that it's so hard for a content creator to make money, run ads, and yet, you have to rely on all these platforms, right? Whereas on Showcase, you get the audience of Showcase. You have all the tools to sell your ebooks, your courses, whatever you need, right? All in one platform, and at the same time, you can monetize all that, right? So that's the beauty of the creator economy, and we want to provide for that.
Yeah, totally agree with that point. Like, as a content creator, it takes a lot to like run the community. But I have a question for, like, like, let's say I'll ask Roman. So when building a startup, you have to consider so many things: the tech stack, the people, and the funding, or whatever. So what would what if someone was starting, if I was starting, like, I want to build my startup like today, what would you recommend? Like, how does one start?
I mean, from a technical perspective, because what I've discovered, like working for so many startups in the past, is that it's not always about the tech, because at the end of the day, uh, the tech is so solid right now that whatever you choose, whatever you pick, most likely you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. I mean, the question is only how long would it take you, and how how much would it cost for you to maintain it. But I think you need to have a solid plan, where you, like a short plan vision, like where you want to be within the next year, let's say, and then a long plan vision, where you want to be like in 10 years. Because what happens quite often, from my personal experience, is that the tech that's used at the start, which is really easy to implement, it gives great results, you are ahead of your time, you build the product, but then when you hit this 10 years mark, you realize that now the tech that you picked is a bottleneck, and so now everything needs to be refactored, just because you were aiming for fast results. But I don't know, maybe I'm not that well with when it comes to the economy of the startups, but when it comes to development of startups, I always try to aim for the long-term vision, because that always makes the statement. So at the end of the day, that's what matters, from my own personal experience.
So it's also like what the end user sees, right? They are not concerned with what's going on behind
Oh yeah.
behind the scenes, that abstraction. And it obviously depends on startups to startups. If it's like a you know core tech startup, like that's like a service, then fine. But what tech stack you're using for, like, say, a social media platform, only the developers of that platform are concerned with that, right?
Yeah, with those numbers, because currently in this, somehow it happened in the Showcase. When I joined the project originally, we were aiming for full stack developers, so that people can cover all the angles. But somehow, naturally, it happened that I started leaning towards the backend development. So I'm primarily focusing on the backend development, and so all I care about is, whenever I make a request, is I look at the response time, and I look at those milliseconds, and that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what code is there, like how well it runs, because as I said, like everything, you can achieve anything with everything, because you can throw a very expensive server with a really bad code, and it will work. So it will work fast. So all I care about is those numbers, and you can, and nobody cares, nobody else cares. So only I see those numbers and I care.
Yeah.
And since a lot of
And even on Showcase,
no, go ahead.
yeah. So when we started on Showcase, so we were going with the serverless technology, and we were trying so many different things. But we iterated from there just to make our app much more easier to understand, much more easier to maintain, and try to use the code or a language which is more suitable for us, rather than going with the hype. So we try to make it as simple as possible, and as simple as as developer friendly for us, so that even if our code base is we have made it like this. If a junior developer comes in, they can easily start with the code with not much hassle. So we are trying to make it as developer friendly as possible. So people should aim it not to make it if you are if you are going to work on a product, and if say you're choosing a tech stack, I agree with Roman. You can choose any tech stack, but the main point is friendly you're going to make it. You're not. You're so if I'm working, me and Roman are working on it. But in the future, many developers are going to join, and we should try to make it uh, easier for the next developer who is going to join and write the code. So that's one of the most important points you should focus on.
And what are like the most exciting technologies that you are excited about right now?
I mean, blockchain, everything's Web3 is everywhere.
Cool.
So yeah,
Rom,
let's see how we achieve it
what about
and
you?
showcase.
I thought we were gonna talk more about Next.js and stuff, Faizan. I didn't know we were gonna talk about straight to blockchain. You wanna dive into
Come on,
you wanna dive into the future straight away, or you wanna talk about like how we're making how
I
developer
mean,
tools are making it easier for everybody?
Let's talk about like what you use at Showcase, if that's okay.
Yeah. Why don't we start with that, and then we'll talk about Web3
I
later.
mean, it's fine. So yeah, we can. So we are using Next.js completely. We are on Version, everything hosted, everything on Version. We are using Web3. We are using Cloudflare for different things. So Next.js has been really brilliant. You can say it's like a genie for us. It's doing magic how they have built it. Kudos to the Version team. So it had made our life much easier. It's so developer friendly is that not a junior dev can also jump in the code. They can code easily with that, and the Vercel platform has been doing really great for us. So our front end is completely hosted in Vercel, and we have been leveraging the benefit which is come with the Edge network and all of this stuff. And yeah, so that's all on the front end right now, and we have been using Cloudflare. So we have been recently starting to use Cloudflare for different part in the app, like streaming, workers, and all other stuff to make it much more performant. Yeah, I can pretty much sum up with that.
I feel
And
like one of the
it's
most. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, good one.
No, I wanted to say I think one of the most important things uh, to know, because I mean this is a developer focused podcast, right, Kunal? And one of the things to know is like what to build versus what to buy as a developer,
Yeah,
because you can't build everything, right? And this comes back to the supply chain. The word is like supply chain of software development today, right? Which is you as a team, you as a developer, what you need to know your product, and then you need to
Hmm.
know what differentiates your product from other products, right? The differentiation you have to build yourself, but the things that is the same, right? Like following people, like for example, Showcase, right? Following people, a chat app, like these are things that are standard, and people are already used to standard stuff. You can just buy these things, right? You can just use whatever's on open source. You can use a service like Twilio, Stripe, all these things. They're all available for so many users, for so many developers today, right? So I think this is really important to understand the supply chain, and then you're excited about things that makes your product better, and you spend more time building that versus you just grab the rest, right? Just build it with the API economy
yeah.
focus.
This is coming from a personal experience that when I was just starting with development, what I tend to do is that no, I will build everything from scratch. I don't want to use another service, but that's not a good thing. There are so many good tools in the market that people can leverage and use it easily rather than building everything from the scratch. So that developers should focus on maintaining their code and whatever they can get from it, they should try to use it these tools. Can you guys hear me?
We lost you for a bit, I think.
Oh, sorry. So what I was saying is that these tools are there so that developers can use it to make their life much more easier. So people who are just creating a startup, one of my advice is that don't hesitate to use the tools out there in the market. You cannot build everything from scratch.
Awesome, cool. Well, thanks for sharing. And speaking of learning and like starting a new career, since many developers are watching, especially when we're talking about like web development, frameworks come out day and night, right? So how do you like, let's say, Roman, if you like to answer this? So when a new developer is starting their career, what should be like their mindset, and like how do you keep up with all these new technologies that are coming up? So yeah.
Oh man. Mm, Again, I'm here to preach only the technologies that I use because, again, personal experience, trying everything I could potentially try, realizing that some technologies are overhyped or some technologies are not hyped enough. So you feel that if you were to pick such tech now, there's not enough community to support, to be the backbone of such techs. And like it always comes and goes, but I don't know. I feel a lot of friends of mine, come they ask for advice because they want to become developers. They ask like which tools should we use, or like I say like you need to not focus on development as this is the language, but focus on development as you think of the problems that you want to solve, and then look for the best tools to solve those problems. But eh, I don't know. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure that
I
I have
believe like
a perfect answer.
it's like learning should never stop. As a developer, like so many things come out, and
Yeah, this is actually the sad reality of this work life. I mean, in any other area of my life, wherever I worked, any other I would say job place, you learn the skill and you use the skill. But in development, it's always growing, it's always expanding, and you can never stop because something that you learned a year ago now is outdated or considered a bad practice, and you always want to be the best, not maybe not the best in the game, but at least you want to not be the worst. So but the development is you need to make sure that you are open-minded in this area. If you want to prosper in development, you need to stay open-minded. You cannot lock yourself every time. Like even now in Showcase, I've seen today there was this poll: Angular, Vue, or React. I mean, this is so dangerous when you lock yourself into one tech and you say nothing else. That's it. Because I started as a PHP developer when everybody were memeing about being a PHP developer. PHP developer was like PHP was a joke, and I see like I understand. I understand why people would laugh because the language solved the problem. Right now, Angular is somehow an outcast. Nobody likes Angular, but I remember me and Faizan, we both used Angular and we loved Angular. But now we use React, so you need to stay open-minded in the game for sure.
yeah, open-mindedness is key. Cool.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit more about the hiring aspect of developers. So when you hire for Showcase, what is it that you look for? Do you hire new grads? Like what is the bar if someone wants to work as Showcase? Wrong, would you like to take that one? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are a few things. But I would start with the most important thing, which is if you join Showcase, you better be ready to believe in the mission. You better believe in the mission, and you better be ready to work because this journey that we're all on together is a long journey, right? And so usually when I speak to developers or new people, anybody who's about to join Showcase, we always want to know if they're in it for the long term, and also if they really really care about what we're trying to do, right? And I think this is actually why Faizan and Roman uh, clicked with me and everything that we're doing at Showcase so well, is because we believe that there are no shortcuts. And if we want to build something big, right? If we really can, if we have the opportunity to build a network for developers, right, for users all over the world, like even on Showcase today, there are people from Germany, France, Korea, the US, India, Indonesia, like there are users, Brazil, users from everywhere around the world. And developers they can come from anywhere, right? And the fact that we're able to build a platform that's so widely used from people all over the world takes a lot of effort. And so you have to be so sold on the mission. And let me tell you why. It's because building a startup, there are days where the three of us were just like, man, the feature that we ship doesn't work. Nobody likes this feature. And then there are days where we ship something and it's like, wow, we suddenly had 2,000-3,000 users join, right? And so the journey is so up and down that if you're just looking for money if you're not really in on the mission, you're going to join, and then things are going to go so bad, and you're not going to be able to continue because you're just here for the money, right? So you have to be here for the right reasons, and that's the first thing we hire for, right? The second thing, you really need to know what you are capable of, because when you join Showcase, you're part of our team. And when you're part of our team, you better have the skills and the ability to perform. Otherwise, otherwise, why are you part of the team, right? Now, a lot of people ask about, do you do like the Google interview? Do you ask someone an algorithmic question and expect them to solve that within like 10 minutes? We don't do that at Showcase. We actually do a more holistic approach where we send you a challenge, whether you're back end or front end. We will send you more mobile, right? We'll send you a challenge. You have time to do that. So it's a very more real life experience. We send you a challenge, and if you can do that, then we'll have an interview with you, and then we'll ask you how you solved it, why you solved it this way, and then we'll also test your other knowledge like system design. How would you architect a system? How would you build this? Just so we can understand the depths of your knowledge when it comes to technology, right? And then on top of that, we do the culture fit. And once we can do that, then we normally hire. So we do a really holistic hiring process.
Yeah,
And so
we,
to your
you don't go
question
ahead
is,
with the. Yeah, go ahead.
no, do we hire fresh grads? Is that your question?
Yeah, like what is the like? Do you hire like people who don't have that much amount of? Because this is the question people ask, right? Quite often, like, hey, I'm just a new grad. Will I even get a job? Things like that. So that's what I asked.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, right? But you have to be good at what you do, right? We don't, we know people who have never been to school, right? But yet they're incredible developers, right? It's kind of like me coming out of university, right? I would hire myself, right? Or you would believe in yourself, right? I would hire anybody that's good, right? Some people have been coding since they were 11 years old, right? And they've never been to school, right? In today's world, you can join a boot camp, you can learn online, you can go to university. There's so many paths into the technology industry, right? And this comes back to Showcase too, which is like to represent who you are as a developer. But we don't discriminate, right? If you are good at what you do, we can hire you. We don't care.
Awesome, love the spirit. All right. Speaking of hiring, Showcase itself is a platform that can help in that. So when we talk about hiring, we talk about like, let's say, you network with people, you find opportunities and whatever. So two questions. Like, first of all, how do communities work on Showcase, and how can you use those communities in order to find job opportunities? Faizan, you can
I
go
can
ahead.
I can answer this
Oh,
because
Roman,
I
you can go
mean
ahead.
I'm,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I think if you ask how you can do this today or how you can do this in the nearest future, because as a matter of fact, right now I think Rong even mentioned this at the beginning of this podcast, is that we are shipping the in-app chat, we are shipping the connect page where it's all about collaboration. We're shipping companies, we're shipping apply for a job, get a job, post a job. So this is basically the phase where we are currently in is the opportunities. So we try to now build features that we will create opportunities for every member on the showcase. But if I was to answer how to make it work now, I think communities is a great place, and Threads is a great place, because the way Showcase works is that we always want people to feel a part of something. We always, whenever we introduce a new feature, whenever we think of what to do next, we always feel is like, how can we make it sure that it's developer centric. So we don't introduce the feature just for for the sake of introducing it, but we feel like if the moment you sign up, how can you feel that now you're a member of something? You're not just an outsider. So we hope we're getting there. I cannot say with 100% certainty that we're definitely there, but that was always the goal. Always the goal that the moment you join, you feel welcomed, and that's why we actually introduce communities. So just that the people can share their inspirations, share their ideas, and so I think that's the way to go right for now.
I want to build on what Roman is saying, Kunal, which is like the reason why we're so developer centric is because we also think that the opportunities for developers span way more than just a part-time job or a full-time job, right? And that's the problem with existing platforms, which is you either go to LinkedIn and look for a full-time job, or you go to Fiverr and Upwork and get like a part-time job, right? But as a developer, the four of us, we know that it doesn't work like that as a developer, right? This is just one of the few things that we do. As a developer, you don't just engage in either full-time work or part-time job, right? There's a huge spectrum of things that a developer does, which includes, right, building startups, building side projects, right? It includes beta testing products. It includes working on open source. It includes selling ebooks, right? Posting on Twitter, posting on YouTube, posting content, right? Sharing your knowledge. It includes jumping on podcasts, right? Doing promotional posts, right? Writing developer articles on behalf of other, platforms or teams or whatever, right? And so, and develop on the top of that, developers don't just work alone. Developers work in developer teams, right? And so the reason why we wanted to build a developer-centric platform was because there's so much opportunity that is not yet solved from all these existing platforms today, right? Like LinkedIn, or Upwork, which is just one or the other, just so binary. So there's a huge spectrum that we want to cater for. And so on Showcase, the opportunity layer, which is going to come over the next few weeks and months, is going to be so focused on how can developers find new opportunities? How can they make money? How can they find new gigs? How can they join different teams as a developer? So that's all going to come to Showcase. And it also comes back to what we talked about with you, with the creator economy, right? You can sell, write articles, make money that way too. So much coming.
Awesome. Can't wait for it. And for everyone else who has been watching, please check out the link in the description. Use the code Join Kunal and get started today. Be a part of the next big thing. And I have seen some when I first joined Showcase, I saw people that I knew from Twitter, like right on my dashboard. I knew a lot of people whom I met on like the developer Twitter. So yeah, it's a great place and check it out. It's very well organized, community section and all these are like your own profile and things like that. Thanks a lot for joining, everyone. Really appreciate it. Keep up the good work and thanks for everything you do.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you for now.